Welcome to Outlaw Nation, the show that brings you everything you need to know about the Billings Outlaws. Recently, the Outlaws made headlines by announcing their departure from the CIF and their move to the AFL, a decision I got to tell you that has sparked both excitement and concerns. Today, we have the newly appointed general manager and head coach of our Billings Outlaws, Coach Cedric Walker. Coach, welcome to the show.
Mr. Foster, you and Sam, thanks for having me. It's the first time I get to get introduced with the outlaw stuff. I like that. I like that vibe. I like that intro. I like that.
So, Coach, how are things these days? Where are you living at these days?
Man, I'm actually in your neck of the woods. I moved here to Billings. I'm in the Heights. It's nice over there. The people here in Billings have been wonderful. It was a great decision to move here.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. You're already doing big things in the community. So, Coach Walker, having won a championship, both as a player and a coach in the old AFL, how's it feel to be coaching back in the new AFL?
I'm excited. The one thing about it is that the AFL game has been good to me. I was blessed to play 10 years. Like I said, won a championship with the Arizona Rattlers in 1997. And then, I've been coaching. This will be my 17th year coaching. And I won a championship with the San Jose Sabercats in 2015. I'm excited about that because this is the type of football that has been successful to me. It's also the type of football that, if things are done right, it's exciting.
Yeah. Speaking of that, so the AFL has experienced its share of challenges. What gives you confidence that this relaunch will be successful? And what's the outlaw strategy for handling potential financial hurdles the league may face?
Well, the first year when it happened, we got outside our niche. When I played, it was Iron Man ball. You had the two-way. It was guys. We used to call it blue-collar football. And what happened is that I think it's like with anything. If you know your niche and you know your base, your demographic, and your fans. What happened to us was when we allowed some NFL owners, Jerry Jones, I know Bon Jovi, John Elway, come in because at that time they had NFL Europe and try to make this now the farm system, and it kind of got away from our niche with that. With that also being said, is that we allowed people that didn't have any value, I say value or sweat equity, run the league. I know at the time when I was playing, we had a commissioner, David Baker, who's now in the NFL, that was making ungodly amount of money for bringing in new franchises. Actually, he was overpricing them, and he was making his money, and that's what really kind of started the downfall of it because it's like with anything. If you understand your market, you understand your base, you understand your budget, football can thrive. And then the second time it was just a union. We had guys coming in that was trying to take money from these players, and they were trying to do way too much with these players, and we allowed that to happen. What's going to be different is that I know for a fact that Lee and Mr. Hutton and Mr. Gaines has a plan in regards to trying to make sure that all these owners are set up to be successful with the revenue sharing as well. Also, it's like with anything. I know a lot of people are talking about how these teams are getting together and how this is going on. Is that they have a plan in regards to each owner. Each owner has their financials. They can set things up for each type of owner coming in and can make it to the point where they're successful, and they have a plan. They're thinking outside the box. We have major sponsors that you will see coming forward. And honestly, the biggest thing is just understanding the league, understanding the niche, and understanding what needs to be, and don't get outside that. So that's my belief, and I think that I know for a fact it's going to work.
So talking about bringing some of that old excitement back, we're talking about bringing back Ironman football, right?
Absolutely.
And then we're talking about the catch nets. Those are coming back for sure.
Absolutely. Right? That's the beauty of it. I know a lot of the fans in Billings is used to the CIF without the nets.
Right.
The beauty of the nets is that it's another form of excitement. Just say, for example, if you kick the ball off and it hits the net, and it comes out and we return, we get it. That's another offense. And also, another offensive possession. Also, once you hit the ball is thrown off the net, you can catch it. There is no pass interference with it, and also with the deuce when the slack net. It's also going to be high scoring. I think with this game, it's going to be to the point where you see you see people score going up and down and everything. But as a defensive coordinator, I don't like that, but it's going to keep it excitement for the fans. It's going to allow them to enjoy the game. I know there's going to be some AFL one-on-ones that we're going to put together for the fans so they can understand the game, because it is a different type of game.
Yep.
So they can understand it.
Awesome. So, kind of right now, the IFL is known as the premier indoor league. With the Outlaws moving to the AFL, how do you anticipate the competition between these two leagues in 2024? And what advantage do you believe the AFL brings to the table?
Well, the one thing about the IFL, and I can kind of go back, they were the little brothers when we were the AFL. You understand? So it's always going to be competition. You always going to have coaches from that league talking about this league, and I know you probably have a couple of these coaches talk about that as well. The one thing about it's a different style of football. Our job is not to worry about the IFL. Our job is to make sure that the AFL brand, the product is good, and the people want to come back, because we can't get caught up in trying to compete against them, because you have to realize it's still arena football. They just call it indoor. You understand? Our game is more fast paced. It is different because you got guys playing both ways. But I also feel like if you go back and you look at the origination of arena football, it was the AFL. With the high scoring. I mean, you look at the Eddie Browns that came out of it, Kurt Warners that came out of it, some of the greatest guys. Aaron Garcia is the only AFL guy. People don't know that it's in the NFL Hall of Fame. First guy to throw it, I think it was 1,000 touchdowns. No, 500 touchdowns. I'm sorry, 500 touchdowns. So our goal is to make sure that the brand of AFL football is good. And then, people, you're going to have naysayers that's going to say, well, the IFL is better than the AFL. The AFL, we don't care. All we worried about is how can we make this successful.
Sure. So the Outlaws had a successful run in the CIF last year, making it into the playoffs. How do you foresee the transition to the AFL impacting the team's performance and strategies, considering the difference in rules and competition level? And
Actually,
then just kind of add on that, somebody just kind of asked, one of the fans asked that they said they noticed that you had a lot of two-way players on the Gillette Mustangs last year. And did you have any inclination that you were going to possibly be AFL this year? And were you kind of toying with those two-way players?
No, actually it wasn't. The one thing about it, which is the best thing about, Coach Gray being a former AFL player, is being able to, with the roster size being small, you have half of it. You've got to have guys that can play multiple positions just in case. We're not dressing 53. We're dressing 21 guys. So you got to have a guy that can, get you through a game, or possibly, play both ways. I was brought up in the Arena League to make sure that you have, two-way players. To get back to your original question, there's going to be different athletes in regards to guys playing this year with the Outlaws. There are going to be a couple of guys that will be holdovers from the team. But the main thing is go out and get some young guys. First and foremost, football has to be important to them. Character is the biggest thing, because the one thing I don't want to worry about is what's going on after dark. Guys, I want guys that's trying to get to the next level. And when I say next level, when I came out, the only thing we had was the NFL. We didn't have nothing else. Everybody knew a little bit about the CFL, but now you have different avenues to get there. You have the XFL and the USFL. If you look at that, they joined together. So you think about that. And also, like I tell these young men, you're just a conversation away, or somebody knowing somebody to get you in the door to play. The beauty of the AFL game is if you can play multiple positions, it's going to help you. And I told them the story, and it was funny because I had breakfast this morning. Troy Brown, who played for the New England Patriots, when they won the championships, he played both sides. So you think about the value of what a player can bring to an NFL roster, being able to play both ways.
So since we're talking roster and roster sizes, guys playing both ways, so we're talking about having 24 men on the roster, correct, Coach?
Correct. 21. It's going to be 21 active and 3 inactive.
So three inactive. So those three inactive will be your practice squad players. So
Yes, sir. They will be somewhat of our practice squad players.
okay, and then each player can anticipate $1,000 per game.
Well, roughly with the budget that we have, our full budget is 700,000. So it could vary.
It could vary from
Yes, sir.
player to player.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay. Player safety is a significant concern in indoor football. How does the AFL address safety concerns, and what measures will the Billings Outlaws implement to prioritize the well-being of your players in this high-impact sport?
Well, we're having we're taking the same process and same steps as the NFL. We'll have one of our doctors for both of the games to make sure that they're looking at concussions or a guy that's took a big hit with be able if he's wobbling or anything. So that's one of the things that we've talked about in a couple of our meetings in regards to players safety is to make sure that we have that doctor there, and then if they are taken out, they've got to pass several tests to make sure they can come in. If not, we're pulling them for that game.
Can you share any key player acquisitions or changes in your coaching staff that are part of the Outlaws preparations for next year?
As of right now, I mean, I can give you probably 2 people I know that you would like, or the number 2 that you like. But as far as that, the main guy, and I have no problem saying, is Daenerys. Daenerys is a great player. This game is set for him. Yeah. He understands the game. He plays the game with great passion. It's going to be great building a team around a player like him. And I've had conversations with him in regards to making sure that, and he has the same vision that we have as a coaching staff, that we have the right type of guys here. I know that he's excited about playing running back and being able to play linebacker. And he even tried to talk me into say that he can cover. So we're gonna see how that goes. But
yeah, he says he's a long snapper.
That's what I'm saying. So you think about it, and I'm not trying to. And you see, you think about it. He's a fullback. He's a linebacker. He's a safety. He's a long snapper. That's 4 people.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to build this team around. And the one thing about it, I know football is important to him. As far as the coaching staff, I'm finalizing one guy to next week. I mean, I think you probably know who it is, but we're going to wait on him. And once we get it finalized, I'll be happy to tell you. But the one thing is, we do have a couple of local coaches here that's going to help on both sides of the ball. Because the one thing that I want these players to get the full teaching, because once again, a lot of these guys are going to be playing both ways, offensively and defensively, and I want to make sure that we have coaches, specific coaches for those areas, so the guys are getting the teaching that they need.
So the Billings Outlaws have a passionate fan base. How do you plan to engage and reassure your fans during the transition to the AFL, considering the concerns, uncertainties surrounding the league's revival?
Well, the one thing I can't get caught up on is what's happening outside this building. I know what's going on inside this building. I know what Steve Titus, our owner, has put, the work he's put into it. And the one thing about it, what I've heard, and I'm sorry if I'm stepping on toes, that I heard that the AFL league is supposed to be the Walmart of arena football or indoor football. And last time I checked, I think Walmart's worth billions of dollars. And some of the people who probably said it probably just got through shopping in Walmart. So our job is to make sure, like I said earlier, is to make sure that this product is good. And the one thing that I'm very lucky about here is that the fans here in Billings understand it. And with anything, it's going to be a little change. And like with any type of change, there's always going to be some type of uncertainty. We know as Steve as ownership, me as the head coach and the general manager, what we need to do in regards to make sure, first and foremost, we need to win. That's going to help out win. And the one thing is that we're going to have the right type of character guys here representing us. And, I've heard a lot about what happened in 2010, with Coach O'Neill, who's a great coach. Our job now is to bring that feeling back. We've got to bring that feeling back. We got to understand that Billings is a championship town, so we've got to do everything as an organization to make sure that we're our attention to detail is be able to bring a trophy here.
Can you elaborate on the specific style of play and strategies that you intend to bring to the Outlaws in the AFL? And how do you think this will set your team apart from the competition?
Well, first of all, we're going to be a physical team. We're going to be disciplined, our attention to detail. Hence is why the coaches that I've chosen, because all these coaches have either played the game or great coaches, so they can be able to have these conversations with these young men. And the one thing that I want everybody to understand is when you talk about this brand here, you're going to say that the character, you're going to say that they're a hard playing team, and then very, very disciplined. You're going to also see some guys like that you probably see on Sundays, or some guys from small schools that can play. The one thing is that they know that the fan base here is powerful. And they also know that the people here in Billings know what it is to be champions, and they also know that there's a standard here already. You know, like I said, once again, Coach Arun has a standard here. You look at all the teams that are mentioned, they always go back to the 2010. You know, they always go back to those. And he, like I said, it's going to be to the point where now we've got to set our own era. We got to make sure that everything we do from this point going forward is going to be the standard. And you've heard this before, and I've always said the standard is the standard.
The standard is the standard.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me. In the past, excuse me. In the past, the AFL was known for its high-scoring, fast-paced games. Do you anticipate the same style of play in this revamped AFL, and how will the Outlaws adapt to those dynamics?
First of all, the Outlaws, we're going to be a team. I got to find guys that can play man, because we ain't going to play no zone. We're going to get after the quarterback. Then I got to have the same guys that can score. I think it's going to be like it's going to be a process to get to it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say we're coming out and we're looking like how it was back in 2015 when we won it. The game has been away. There's going to be some bumps and bruises going away. But I know as we start putting the right type of coaches in the right type of position, it's going to get there. So it's like with anything, it's like when anybody starts a business. It's not going to be pretty the first couple of weeks, but at the end, it's the end result. Now you got a multi-billion-dollar deal, and everybody's happy.
So travel logistics can be challenging in indoor football leagues. With the Outlaws now part of the AFL, how does your team plan to manage the travel schedule and its potential impact on player performance?
Actually, I think that was one of the beauties that Mr. Hutton and Mr. Gaines did when they put this together. I think when we played, we had a lot of regional games. So basically, we just played everybody in our region. So it was an easy travel for everybody. And I think they're going back to that, where we'll have a region where we'll play. You will have some crossover games. I know that Mr. Titus is he's big on Florida. He loves Orlando. So hopefully we can get an Orlando, Florida trip. So I'm just throwing that out there. But that's going to be beneficial. And also, I know working with the league also has a big major sponsor that's going to come out that's going to really alleviate a lot of this with the travel. So that's the big thing. But all in all, it's just being able to have the teams in your region that you can play your home and away with, and then after that, get ready for the playoffs.
Are there any community or outreach initiatives that the Billings Outlaws plan to undertake in the local area to strengthen the team's connection with the community and the fans?
Our biggest thing is, like right now, is get the kids in. I know right now, I'm going to give you a little tidbit. I can't give you too much. We've got something abroad called the Posse and the Little Posse. And as more information comes out, that's going to be stuff that's beneficial for the town. Also, is make sure the one thing about this, we all know that the kids, we got to make sure that we're at the schools. These young men are out reading books or being able to having appearances there. I know one thing that we're looking at is being ready to set up a flag football league, Billings Outlaws flag football league. We're working on that. So there's going to be a lot going on. I know a lot of people, once again, are kind of like, but in the end, it's like when it all comes out, just like you told them a couple of weeks ago, you told them so.
So the AFL has a rich history, but it also has forced or faced some setbacks.
Mm-hmm.
What lessons do you think the league and the teams, including the Outlaws, can learn from the past to ensure a more stable, successful future?
Well, from Mr. Hutton down is understand what their product is and don't try to oversell it or try to grow too fast. Understand that um, it's okay to grow a little bit at a time, but don't get to the point. And I can go back to when I played, with Commissioner Baker, Austin came in, and at that time, I think the going rate of an arena team was like 3 million, and he turned around and tried to make extra money and try to sell Austin in for 15 million. And see, when you get to that point, now it becomes more of a selfish, how can I make money, instead of how can we take this brand and continue to grow. And I feel that Mr. Hutton and Mr. Gaines, and I know Steve has been in those meetings, have a great vision in regards to what it's going to take to make sure that this league grows in the right direction. And also, I think what the biggest thing is, Mr. Hutton and Mr. Gaines are intertwined with some nice nice investors, as well as people that uh, I feel they'll hear me with that, with the Albany Firebirds, but intertwined with that. So it's also going to be to the point where they know what's at stake and how they can grow with this.
Coach, care to comment on the return of the Albany Firebirds?
I'm big time with that, but I didn't get to play with the Albany. Uh, play with them. It was in Indiana when I played with them, so that's the year that they moved. When they just left Albany and went to Indiana. That was the first year of free agency. I think Albany, if you look at the fan base in Albany, it's one of the great. And I'm back when we played them they had touchdown Eddie Brown. They had to the point where it was like 16, 17,000 people in there. So I know they got great fan base. So it's going to be exciting, and having them back in the league is great. I know that Coach Ware is going to do a great job putting the team together. I know that the fans in Albany are really loving that the AFL is back there.
Hey, so Coach, player development is crucial in any sports league. Can you share your vision for developing and nurturing young talent within the Billings Outlaws organization, especially as you transition to the AFL?
Well, the main thing is I've been in their shoes, and I can have those real conversations with them. That's why I go get the type of coaches that I get, because they were once in their shoes. And a lot of these young men, their biggest vision is to get to the NFL, because that's what we were conditioned to do. But they also understand that the road to the NFL might be a little different than the first or second and third round pick, than the guy who's a fourth, fifth, and sixth, who was a free agent. So to be able to have these conversations and let them know their thoughts, and the beauty of it is, half the thing that they thought about doing or did, we've already done as coaches, or I've already done. So I can tell them the outcome and be able to have those real man conversations with them. Some of these players get it, and some players, it takes them about a year or two to get it. And then you get that call back and say, hey, Coach, man, I still want to play. But the one thing is always, and you can talk to any coach, any player that I've been with, is I'm always going to be honest with him, because my philosophy is I'm going to treat you the same way that I wanted to be treated when I played. And I tell everybody this story. I was actually on a plane with a coach. I'm not going to mention his name. We were coming back from a game. He was told me I was the best thing since sliced bread. I'm doing a great job, doing boom, boom. And then he cut me that Monday. And, to me, I would rather you be real and just say, hey, you're not doing your job. Yeah. You're not doing this, because I, as a coach, I fully understand a lot of these young men have kids, or, so you've got to have these conversations with them, and you got to be honest with them. And some players don't like it because, for the majority of their life, they've been lied to. So when you have a coach that can have a real conversation with you, some guys don't like it. Some guys love it to death.
Yeah, I love it. Coach, there's a lot more. There's a ton of more questions that I want to ask you on behalf of all of indoor football, arena football fans. But I know that, the work is still being done behind the scenes. Uh-huh. Paperwork is still being processed. So there's a lot of things that we can't talk about. So I kind of came up with this creative way. It's also going to be our new
absolutely.
It's going to be our new thing that we do on the show. It's going to be called Myth or Legend. So if you firmly believe this is going to happen, it'll be legend. Okay. And if you think it's pure crap, it's going to be myth. Okay. We'll just do a practice one. UFOs.
Okay.
real, myth or legend.
So I'm the first, huh? So I'm the first.
Yeah.
I'm the first.
You're
Okay.
the
So
first.
I'm the stunt double. Okay. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So practice question. UFOs are real, myth or legend?
It depends on who you're talking to.
I'm talking to
How you
you,
like that
myth or
one?
legend?
No, I think you know what? Actually, I think it's legend.
Okay. All right. All right. So here we go.
Legend.
Outlaws will
Okay.
have one of the best training and practice facilities, not only in this league, but any indoor league. Myth or legend?
Absolute legend.
Okay. The AFL will have legalized gambling. Myth or legend?
Legend.
Okay. The AFL is working on an alternative workman's compensation plan that will save the teams a ton of money. Myth or legend?
Absolute legend.
The Billings Outlaws will be competitive in this new league from the word go. Myth or legend?
I would cuss, but I'm not gonna do it. But it's a legend.
Speaking of legends, Coach Walker, really appreciate you being on the show today. I can't wait for this next season to start, and hopefully we can put a lot of these naysayers to bed. Really appreciate you being on today. Thank you for
Thank
your
y'all
time.
very much for having me. I know without you and Sam, we wouldn't have this platform, and we appreciate this. And if y'all ever need anything from me, you let me know.
For sure. Thanks, Coach.